California's Gold is produced in association with KCET Los Angeles and is seen statewide on California Public Television. This series is endorsed by the California Teachers Association, the California School Boards Association, and the California Library Association. It's the largest lake in California, over 380 square miles. Its waters are 25% saltier than the ocean, and it's a critical stopover for birds on the Pacific Flyway. It's a weird and wonderful place, and it was here at the Salton Sea we went in search of California's gold. Well, there we were heading south on Highway 111, which follows close to the Salton Sea shoreline. And we were looking for mud. And not just any old mud either. We were looking for hot, steaming, bubbling, obscure mud. Now, sometimes treasures are hidden, but after turning off the main paved road and going through a maze of dusty dirt roads, we eventually found exactly what we were looking for. Okay, here we are at our first stop, right here by the Salton Sea, and I have hooked up with
Pam Cherney with the California Department of Fish and Game at Imperial Wildlife Area, 4.5 miles north of Nyland, California.
And the Salton Sea is just right over there.
Just behind us here.
And Jay, give us your official title and information here.
I'm Jay von Werlhoff, the Director Archaeologist of Imperial Valley College Desert Museum in Ocotillo.
Okay, now we're here. You all know why we're here. We're here in search of mud, California mud.
Well, you couldn't find a better place than just mud here in the Imperial County.
We are standing in dry mud right here, but there's some wet mud over here. Jay, explain to us what this is, because I have never, in all of my travels around California, I have never seen anything quite like these.
Well, these are very special, and very special to Imperial County. This is a miniature volcano, and while many of these mud pots are actually cylindrical in shape and rise above the surface, the ones we have here have been gradually in a collapsing area and are pretty much below.
Now, you say these are volcanoes.
Yes, they're miniature volcanoes. It has the same process, coming from the same general procedure as volcanoes, and we're right along the part of the Pacific Rim. And the San Andreas Fault, the most famous of California faults, is just over to the west of us, and to the east of about 5 to 10 miles is the Imperial Valley Fault. But this one is a very special one, found only in 1966, and it follows right along the edge of the Salton Sea, and it's along this edge that these mud volcanoes have occurred.
Now, wait a minute. You just called it a mud volcano. I thought it was a mud pot.
Well, it's pot because it looks like a pot, but actually it's a volcano with the same eruptive qualities as any other volcano.
Now, Pam, are these things always bubbling like this?
Yeah, usually they're bubbling. In the spring, they seem to be more active. I don't know if it has something to do with the balance of what's going on with the weather or anything. I don't think that has anything to do with the bubbling, but it does. When it's hotter, you can feel you can smell the sulfur much more than you can during the winter.
Yeah, because you can really smell the sulfur now.
Oh, yes. And the reason we actually have these here is that this part of California is much closer to the Earth's mantle. Actually, the crust is only 15 miles thick here in Imperial County.
So the gases come up, the mud bubbles up.
Yes, and elsewhere in the world, the vast majority of places, the mantle is some 30 to 50 miles below the crust.
So it's easy for it, the heat to make the water and the mud bubble.
Right along the fault lines, yes.
I just got to get down here.
How's your insurance?
We got great insurance. I just want to see, because, oh boy, it really, and listen to this. Listen to this and look at it. And if you reach down here, oh my gosh, look at this mud. It is really hot. It's real gooey.
It's a refined clay, really.
It's what?
It's a refined clay. It's a very, very beautiful clay. Very, very, no real grit in it. It's very smooth texture.
And it's hot.
Yes. Oh,
And
yeah.
I got this from around the edge.
Yes, as you can see from the stratum there, how it actually has formed, and just layer by layer by layer.
But this is kind of an area here that is fenced off. You have a little observation deck there. People kind of know to come here and stand here and look out at these mud pots. But there's another place that you all were telling me about a couple of miles down the road they're still mud pots, but they look totally different.
Very different.
Than these.
These are collapsed. Those are still rising.
So they're up in the air.
They're up in the air.
All right, let's go. I don't know how I'm going to get this. There's no clean water in here around here to wash my hands. Wonder how long it takes before this dries.
You better get off before it does, because your hands are going to be like a calf's statue.
Let's go to the next location. Now here's where the story gets interesting, because after leaving the mud pots that have been fenced off by the state and are available for viewing by the public, we headed out through yet another maze of dirt roads in search of some really obscure mud. It was located on private land and wasn't open to the public. But it was here that I had one of the most interesting and exciting afternoons of my entire life. This place was amazing. Well, we've come about 4.5 miles from our original location, and Jay, this is totally different from where we were.
Yes, it's absolutely different. The ones we just saw were in a collapsed condition. This is still building up above the surface.
Yeah, because when you look over here, it looks like big stacks of concrete, raw concrete stuck out there.
And then just the last few months, all of these have grown.
Really?
So they come on not on any scheduled base, but on a periodic base.
And look at this right here. This is amazing. You must be Jack.
Hi, Huell.
Jack wrote us about 3 or 4 months ago telling us about these mud pots. Jack photographs these things. Tell us what we're looking at right now, Jack.
Well, this is just a boiling spring, and instead of steam, like at Yellowstone, it's powered by carbon dioxide. We're right on top of the San Andreas Fault. And so the heat is turning limestone to carbon dioxide, and it's just going to town.
Now, I want to put my hand in that. How hot is that?
That's probably pretty cool. I think that's probably only about 70 degrees or 80 degrees.
It's not even warm.
No, each one is a different temperature. There's some over here that are steaming behind you, these things that look like termite mounds. Some of them get up over 100 degrees.
Now, how long has this been here?
I don't know. I just discovered this area about March of this year, so I've only been coming out since then, just every once in a while to photograph. And it's been just like this ever since I got here, although some of the ones in the background here, they change every day.
Yeah.
And so they come and go, and so everything that you'll see today is probably different from what was around here last month.
So Pam, is this new to you?
No, these have been here. It's the first time I've been here, but they have been here for a while. I've heard about them. Yeah.
So I mean, next week could one pop up right over here, and then another one over here the next week?
Yeah, from what we've found on the wildlife area, that does happen.
Just because we're on the fault.
Uh-huh.
All right, now the deal is you've got your camera right here. You photograph these things. We're going to be taking a look at some of the movies that you have shot.
Good.
They are absolutely amazing when you get a nice tight shot of this mud coming up. How did you get interested in doing that?
Well, I've always been interested in high-speed phenomena. I'm a physicist by profession. And the famous picture that Harold Edgerton took of the milk drop with the bubble coming up, that got me interested in just the effects of water and mud at real high speed. And over here you'll really see some examples of when you just look at something that's, you look at it a little faster, a little closer, and you just discover a whole nother world. Almost like insect photography compared to looking at buffalo.
So you have been traveling around with your trusty camera, capturing these mud pots for how many years now?
Oh, about 15 years or so.
And what do you do with this stuff?
Oh, I'm just sharing it with my friends and sending out
When people come
Christmas
over to your
cards.
house, do you sit around and look at mud pot bubbling video?
Oh, I send them Christmas cards with some mud pots on them, but I hope to do a book and a video one of these days.
Wow, because it is something to see.
Well, I sure appreciate it. Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Now, when you photograph this, you get your camera just right up on it and get some, you know, tight shots of what? Just around the edges, or?
Sometimes it's just nice just to capture the whole thing and get the mood of everything around. There's some spots you'll see up here where you want to zoom in and just look at something as small as your hand.
Yeah.
Like there's some beautiful crystals. This water is extremely mineralized.
Can we see that down here?
Amen. Right down here.
Now, wait a minute. How deep is this?
I have no idea.
Do you have any idea? Does anybody know? Could we put your stick in there and just see how far down it goes, Jay? I don't want you to lose the stick.
Your hand.
Oh my gosh, look.
Just go keep right on going. It's a fissure that runs way, way down.
So
And-
that's a deep hole.
Oh yes, oh yes.
And look over here, this mud that's just being made right here. Look at this. Oh, this is amazing.
I'd like to point out too that look around here and it's pretty level, but this is gradually building up, and it'll eventually
Get as
become
tall
a
as
cone
those.
like that if it continues to go.
Now wait a minute, are these little mud pots over here? Are these the beginning of little mud pots?
I think you've seen the end of some little mud pots.
Look at
This is
these
how
little
they start.
things. And one just as little as this. Look at them, they're all over the place. And why do I have this fixation on putting my hand in the mud?
You probably played in the mud when you were 4 years old.
This is crazy. Now how am I going to get this off?
You're gonna have to really work at it.
You can shake Pam's hand.
Boy, this has got, one more time because this is fun. Look at this. And look at this. Look at the bubbles coming right up out of the mud. So that's the beginning of yet another mud pot right there. All right, let's go see some of the big ant hills. Now here we go, and look at this. Look at the designs. Jack, I see what you're talking about now. This is absolutely beautiful right here, the way it's cracked. Can I pick some of this up?
Yeah, if you put it back down in the right place.
Yeah, because we don't want to.
Yeah, it shrinks as it dries out.
Look at this design here, Louis. This is absolutely beautiful. Just the design in the mud when it cracks and dries. There's a lot to see, and there's also a lot to hear. I hear something over here. You hear it?
Oh yes.
Let's go over and see what it is. Obviously, this whole area is, oh, look. One bubble, two bubbles, three bubbles, four bubbles. And then over here, listen to this. Now you can, the mud is actually bubbling up out of there. You can see the little specks of mud coming up.
This whole mound used to be wide open, and it was bubbling with bubbles this wide. And then in just 2 months' time, it totally covered over. And now you see it's starting to open up again. So this whole area is constantly changing.
There's steam coming out of there.
Yeah, so there's steam coming out of the middle there. And I'm just looking over here. There's actually mud coming up. Listen to this. Now that's mud we're hearing down there.
Oh yeah, see, it just erupted about a foot.
Whoa! So it just shoots up like that.
Oh yeah.
Whoa! That was hot. Now that's hot.
A little hotter than the other one, isn't it?
All right, they found, what have you found over here?
This is a miniature volcano. It looks like an aerial view from 10,000 feet up.
Look at this. It really is. It's just beginning to build up. And there is the middle of the volcano right there. Now, Jack, this will actually build to be as big as the ones we just saw.
Well, this is mostly water. It's not as thick as with mud as some of the others, so I think it'll stay pretty small, but you can see it's got some algae growing around the sides to give it that nice color.
So it could come up some more.
Yeah, it'll slowly build up, not as fast as the real thick mud ones that were over there.
They just pop up.
Yes.
Now look over here. I don't even know where to go next. Where are we going?
Oh, just pick your spot. Every spot has something interesting.
Well, I hear something. You can hear things. I don't think I was prepared for the sound.
Yeah, there's a small one that you can see spitting out behind us over there that we just passed. And one way you can tell the fresh ones, you can see the darker mud. Wherever you see darker mud, that's a flow that's just happened since yesterday. And then, like the one just to your left here, you see it's white around the edges. It's started to dry out.
Yeah, right here.
And so that one's still going at the top, but it's starting to die out.
Now look at this pool right here. And listen to it. Oh, I got to put my microphone by that. It sounds so neat. This is so much fun. It's so strange. Oh, look. Look at this one. Yeah, this is cold mud. Oh, the water's hot. The water's warm. Look at it. Look at this, Louie. You can actually see the mud coming right up out of there. Right there. Well, the tour continues, and it's a never-ending tour because there's a constant barrage of visual and audio, things hitting your senses here.
But there's more than just mud here. Right up ahead, you can see some of the evidence of the high mineralization in the water.
Oh, look. These are like crystals.
Yeah, it's just mostly salt and other minerals from the water.
Now, why is that here?
Well, the water has like 10 times more minerals in it than the ocean. Just an extremely high mineral content. In fact, they mine zinc from some of the geothermal wells nearby.
So there are a lot of chemicals here in this soil.
Yeah, and you can tell the humidity is pretty low, and so it changes to crystals very rapidly.
Wow, so we've got crystals, we've got bubbling mud, we've got bubbling water. Here's some more of it over here. A little bubbling volcano right here. Whoa! It sinks too.
Yeah, you're in the middle of a science experiment here.
Whoa, that's the first time we've sunk down.
Another one here, just starting. You almost walked into that one.
This is like an obstacle course out here.
It sure is.
Boy, we have hit the jackpot over here. Look at this one. Jack, come over here a minute. Look at this. It's just pure mud building up around the edge there.
Looks like we have a miniature of a mountain, doesn't it?
Yeah. And there's another one over here. There's another one over here. Boy, this whole area. Oh, look over here. Now this one really looks like a volcano that's building up. You can see it coming up.
There, you can see every once in a while it just starts bubbling up like a miniature geyser.
Look at this. Now this water is warm. That's warm.
Yeah, each one has a different temperature.
Boy, we're surrounded by them. They're everywhere here.
That's cool there.
This one's cool?
That's cool.
There's a whole, I mean, this whole area is just filled. There are hundreds of them here.
There are. They're coming and going.
Now this is just still water that's full of algae. It's not moving at all.
Yeah, we've got a dying spring there.
So it's a dead one.
Yeah, it's cool enough so that, well, if you're algae...
No, there's
it's
still
live
bubbles coming out.
Uh-huh. Yeah, and you've got algae growing healthily in there.
And right next to it, we have a brand new one again coming out. Look at this. And then over here, we've got another one over here, a huge one. Now Jack is set up to shoot something. Look over here, Louie. This is amazing. It's just spitting mud out of the, look at this. And it's like a lava flow all the way down.
Yeah, you're seeing beautiful.
And I'm getting, look, I'm getting pieces of mud on my leg
as we speak.
from all the way over there. It is really spitting it out.
Yeah, and if you see there, it's just making beautiful patterns. Here comes another flow coming down right now. See?
So it's really just like a flow of lava that goes all the way down. And I'm telling you, when this stuff spits, it's spitting out a couple of feet when it spits out.
What you have to beware is when the sound stops. That's when the mud is covering up the opening and builds up pressure, and then it blows out. So when it stops, back up.
Wait a minute.
There.
It stopped. Whoa!
See? You learn things like that when you get splattered enough times.
Look at this.
Now tomorrow this beautiful mud flow is going to be all covered with cracks.
But
like
I
we
just
saw
want to stand
before.
here and listen to this and look at it for a minute. Now, we're waiting for it to get quiet. Here it comes. See? Oh. Exactly.
Right. Well,
Lesson one.
we've learned something new, haven't we?
Well, we set out in search of obscure California mud, and we found it, lots of it, out here by the Salton Sea, which just goes to prove, I guess, that you can find just about anything in our state if you look hard enough for it. And as we end this particular adventure, we're going to take a look at some more of Jack's wonderful video footage, some of his still pictures of this wonderful mud, these wonderful mud pots. When you look at them up close, they are amazing to see. And they are surely fine examples of California's gold. Well, hello everybody, I'm Huell Hauser, and I sure hope you enjoyed this adventure. If you'd like to see it again or share it with your family or friends, or perhaps donate a copy to your local school or library, it's available on video cassette and on DVD. All you have to do is call 1-800-266-5727 and we'll be glad to send it to you right away.